Ahoy, ladies and gents, here I am. Hang on. I am just sharing the homepage of the BBC. Right, there we go. Fucking hell. I literally walked through the door today at about 3 minutes to 11. And then I put my laundry in, brushed my teeth and got a shower in what? Oh, fucking 6 minutes. I think that's a strong effort. Oh, I didn't eat anything. I normally have a bowl of porridge after I go to the gym. Because oats are good for your arm. Also, I'm trying to ease myself into living off nothing but rain and oats, so that I'll be good to go when the new world order takes over. Good idea, eh? Tap water and fucking oats. That's what I'm going to be living off. Because I'm not eating crickets. You can pork that. Who's in? DJ Rockford's in, and he's caught a live one. Yeah, well done. Davey Boy the Codhead's always in. Des Ellis, Neil Mason, Kev C, Scarlett Pimpernel, Dave Lampard, Kirky Bolly, Patrick Waters, Harvey B, Norfolk Mountain Man, Steve Horn, Cy Richardson, Slim, Tomo, Boondot, Lena Owl, Neil Mason, It the North, Sunflower, Jeff Wed, Neck Oil, Richard Derrington, Girthquake. I like the name. Right. How's everyone doing? Plenty in already. I must be getting popular. It's like I'll have to start taking a bit better care of my appearance, like Scott Adams does. Yeah. I'm sure he's got a makeup artist in the back. If anyone hasn't been following that, actually, maybe I can Google BBC Scott Adams and see if that's on there. Here we are. Brilliant. There's one. Let's do this because I want to talk about this. I'm sure there's a lot of people across the pond who don't really know who he is. And I've been a big fan of Scott Adams for years. I'd say he's in my top 3 favourite YouTubers. Him and Peter Hitchens I watch more than most because Scott Adams is an extremely intelligent bloke. He's got a bit of an annoying nasally voice, if I had to be critical, because I listen to him a lot. He's got a slightly irritating voice. Like, it's a little bit, a little bit like droopy. But he's a clever bloke, and I defy anyone to find me a better periodical cartoon strip featured in newspapers than Dilbert. I really do mean that. Like, I'm quite fussy when it comes to stuff like that. I don't lap up any old shite. Most of it in the papers is shockingly bad. The Washington Post has a full back page of papers. And when I used to subscribe to it when I first moved here and I was not dyed in the wool against anything woke, and I didn't know the Washington Post was woke. When I first moved out here, as far as I was aware, the Washington Post was a paper of record, and it was a fine, reputable institution, an institution with numerous Pulitzer Prizes and a fantastic reputation. So when I first moved to the United States, within like a couple of months, I subscribed to the Washington Post. I think I've told you a lot this before. Excuse me, I need to wet my whistle because I haven't glugged a pint of water down either since I got back. And my missus, bless her, always makes me a cup of tea because she knows at 11 o'clock I do a stream. So the Washington Post was my go-to paper when I first moved here, all them years ago now. And I was a subscriber for about 3 years. And then I rapped on it because it's a fucking woke rag. But just, I'm giving you all the, let me just move this a bit. I'm giving you all the correct intelligence. Like, that's true. I wasn't an ideologue and I'm not. And when I first moved here, the Washington Post was my go-to paper. And Bernie Sanders was the politician that I was rooting for when I first moved out here, because I thought, you know what? America's too far right. I think the Americans would learn a lot from moving a bit to the left. Fucking hell, what a difference 9 years make. What a difference 9 years make. And as I've talked about this many times, I don't deny that I was left-wing when I first moved here. I thought the United States, because I'm a centrist, I always want to see balance. And I thought after the United States being so much more to the right than an English conservative, specifically with regards to the sort of religiosity of the Republicans and the total lack of universal healthcare, which I was a big believer in at the time, then I considered myself to be a Democrat. And holy shit, what a difference 9 years has made. Now the National Health Service is completely ruined because we've spent the last 10 years importing people that have never paid in to the system, and they all use it willy-nilly. And the woke have completely took over Silicon Valley, the mainstream media, the printed media, the radio waves, the TV networks, and the vast majority of the talking heads. So when you're a centrist chap like me and you try to keep balance in all things, because too many liberals and you get pathological altruism and you destroy your country and you turn into communists, and too many conservatives and you get pathological conservatism where you stagnate because you don't take any risks and you don't innovate. That's what set of person I am. So it's pretty mad, that, isn't it? How bad things have gone in 9 years. Anyway, Scott Adams is a clever bloke and is, am I freezing? Not a lot of people complaining about the device today. Maybe Susan's got me by the plums. I'll try and close a few more things in the background if that helps. Possibly. But I've got a fucking Ninja PC. I don't see how that's going to make any difference. For any tech people in the chat, Bootneck's got a 12-core 5900X processor that runs at nearly 5 gigahertz because I overclocked it. And I've got a $1,000 graphics card. I don't know how my PC it's going to be lagging on my end. And the reason I do it here in the bastard kitchen is because that's where the router is. And I'm plugged into the wall, so I don't do Wi-Fi. Frame freeze, really? Bastards. Must be Susan. That's all I can think of. As I've just explained here, a 5900X 12-core processor thereby makes it impossible for this to be a hardware issue. So it must be Susan. That means absolutely nothing to me. Well, trust me, most people who do this are probably on laptops. Or the phones, which are a bit shit. And your average laptop usually got 4, 6, 8 processors in it. This bad boy's got 12. It's a Ninja. It's a Ninja PC. I can process a video in about 90 seconds. And if you've got a 6-core or 4-core PC, it takes you about 20 minutes. Sunflowers on a ZX81. I remember them. When I used to load with a tape like that. Remember playing Maziacs on there and the classic Scuba Divers. Anyone remember playing Scuba Diver on the ZX Spectrum? I think I was only about 6 when the ZX Spectrum was really popular because I'm not that old. But I remember my brother playing it loads and I thought it was the best thing ever. I thought it was genuinely terrifying when I was 6. Like, having to go right down deep and swim past all the sharks and watch your air tank Scuba Diver. It was quality. Way better. The Spectrum was 10 times better than the Atari 2600. The Spectrum was amazing. The Spectrum and the Amiga were both absolutely superb. And Americans don't know what they're missing out on because the Amiga wasn't big in the United States. When I was a kid in the late 80s and the early 90s, the Amiga was fucking amazing. Like, the graphics on the Amiga and the sound quality compared to a NES, which was the most popular gaming system over here, was unbelievable. Anyway, I'm not going to talk about PCs. I could do tons of different channels, mate. I could definitely do a Warhammer 40k one, and I could definitely do a tech channel because I love all that type of shit. My favourite tech YouTuber is a bloke or possibly a bird, because I've never actually asked about the background, called Kim Justice, who does loads of retro gaming stuff. Really entertaining. But from seeing him visually, I think Kim Justice is a trans woman, maybe, unless I'm just being judgmental and it's just a fucking very effeminate bloke with long hair. But that's a weird one, isn't it? Yeah, I'm mega into PCs, personal computers, and gaming, early gaming from the 80s and the 90s. I think it's dead interesting. And Britain led the way, which is another great thing about it. It shows how far we've fallen. All the big gaming companies back in the day, Rare, and tons of the fantastic ones on the N64, and no later than that, really. but certainly on the N64, the SNES, and most definitely on the Amiga and the Spectrum, they were all English, they were all British. We used to lead the way in the gaming industry. And it's just conglomerations have took over the world, haven't they? The woke Globotrons rule the world. Sensible Software Sensible Software were fucking geniuses. Everything didn't make a bad game for years. They did Whizball, which was class on the Specky, and then they did Cannon Fodder. Fantastic software company. All the best of British. Absolutely class. Anyway, I'm going down a rabbit hole there, so we'll talk about this. BBC's using this to have a pop with Scott Adams. I'm going to read you it briefly, and I'll tell you exactly what happened because I watched the stream when it happened. It says Elon Musk has accused US media of racism on Sunday, defending racist comments made by Dilbert cartoon creator Scott Adams on YouTube last week. First things first, he didn't make a racist comment. He didn't. If you ignore the 10 sentences before the one sentence that the media's throwing around and the 10 sentences after it, it's possible that you think he made a racist comment, but he didn't. And I'll explain it to you. Twitter CEO tweeted media that used to be racist against non-whites is now racist against whites and Asians, demonstrably and factually accurate, 100%. In the video, he said black Americans were part of a hate group and white people should get the hell away from them. Several US outlets dropped the cartoon, all of them, because we know you lot know what world we're living in, and it isn't reasonable or fair. In the same tweet, Mr. Musk continued to allege that elite colleges and high schools in America are also racist. Yes, they are. Demonstrable fact. The other amusing thing is the BBC. Have you noticed the dirty, slimy, horrible, manipulative, red devil, commie dog, sex pest, deviant, bulldoze broadcasting house while the 9 o'clock news is on fucking dirtbag BBC? Have you noticed that the BBC only uses reasonable, fair journalistic language when they're trying to allege things about Elon Musk, but they don't do it when they're alleging things against people they want to make their aggressive comments about? Because they said Mr. Musk continued to allege that elite colleges in America are also racist, but they didn't say Mr. Adams allegedly made racist comments. It just says defending racist comments by Dilbert cartoon creator Scott Adams. Do you see the difference? This subtle manipulation that these fucking snakes do all the time. You know what I'm talking about? It doesn't say allegedly racist comments or possibly construed as racist comments. It says Scott Adams made fucking racist comments and Elon Musk defended him. And then you move down the story a little bit, and it said, oh yeah, Mr. Musk continues to allege that elite colleges and high schools in America are also racist. No, they are demonstrably, provably racist in a black and white manner, demonstrated by their hiring policies whereby Asians work the hardest and get the best results and get fucked over and don't get in the elite universities because they want to throw all the spots to people like Patrice Cullors and all of these other ridiculous black Marxists and communist revolutionaries who got shittier grades and didn't work as hard. So, no, he's not alleging that they're also racist. He is definitely proving that they are racist and have racist policies, and you should be changing this bit to allegedly racist comments, you fucking snakes. I hate the BBC. I hate them. All they do is fucking lie. For a very long time, the US media was racist against non-white people. Now they're racist against whites and Asians. Same thing happened with elite colleges and high schools in America. Maybe they can try not being racist. Demonstrably factual and liked by 60,000 people, of which large numbers of them are going to be black and Asian. Because America's a very diverse country and it is impossible for at least some of those 60,000 people to not be ethnic minorities. So the BBC, as usual, is talking total utter bollocks, right? Dilbert has been a mainstay of the funny pages in America's newspapers since 1989. You all know about Dilbert. I don't need to read you all of this shit. His distributor is also severing his ties. Everyone has cancelled him. A new Dilbert book to be published was also dropped. Portfolio, one of Penguin Random House's imprints, says it will not publish his upcoming book, Reframe Your Brain. And he says his career is destroyed and most of his income will be gone by next week after the Washington Post, LA Times, and other publications dropped his popular cartoon. But, and this is the silver lining, he's a clever bloke. He doesn't say anything without thinking it through thoroughly. And he can afford it. The bloke's worth tens of millions of dollars. So he'll be all right. He'll be all right. Before you start gloating. I've been mocking communists on Twitter who are like, hey, there's blokes living in fucking wheelie bins going, hey, see you later, Scott Adams. And I was like, oh yeah, cheers, mate. Yeah, you're doing well, aren't you? He's gutted. He's gutted when he looks at you, balding, craggy-faced, struggling musician who lives in a fucking bedsit with Tyrone. Yeah, he's fucking gutted when you talk, isn't he? So he doesn't care. And instead of reading you the rest of these outright lies by the BBC, Mr. Adams is a disgrace. His racism is not even outright lies, right? I'll tell you exactly what he said because I watched it live. Scott Adams was talking, and again, I disagree with Scott Adams all the time. But like everybody in this chat, I'm sure realizes, it's fine. We are the liberal, tolerant ones, the conservative-minded people, because we remember the good old days when we lived in a meritocracy and you judged people by the content of the character. We were pretty much colorblind by the 1990s. Kids like me grew up watching things like Red Dwarf and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and we never once thought, ooh, I'm not represented on the screen. Why does nobody look like me? Because that's fucking stupid. It's stupid. It's illogical. There's no way that needs to happen. No way. Cat was my favourite character when I was 7. I didn't go, ugh, what's this Zulu warrior doing on the screen? This doesn't make any sense. Why hasn't he got brass rings around his neck? You don't think like that. You don't need to be represented. That is just a complete myth that they've been spreading for the last 10 years with this commie fucking propaganda. And it's completely irrelevant. And conservative, black, Asian, and gay, and any other normal people that happen to have immutable characteristics that put them on the communist fucking victim pyramid all agree with me. So it's factually accurate. You don't need to be represented. You just need to see human struggles. Cleverer people than me. Well, I don't know. I'm putting myself down. I don't think the critical drinker's cleverer than me. Excellent YouTubers that have much better production values than me. Let's just say that. The critical drinker is an excellent fucking YouTuber and he makes great points and he's talked about this better than I could. All you need to see is a struggle. Gundam as well, he's another good one, and he happens to be a minority. Talking about this stuff, you need to see anything that you can identify with. If you've ever been called names that made you cry when you were a child, you know what it's like to be the victim of racist abuse. If you've ever been made to feel small or bullied or abused or worthless because someone's been awful to you, you don't need to know what it's like to have suffered from misogyny or racism or homophobia. You know what it's like because humans are empathic. And that's why most people reject woke bullshit, because it's just self-evidently wrong and divisive and nasty and mean-spirited and bitter and resentful. It's fucking nonsense. And Scott Adams basically said, we're going backwards, and reading a Rasmussen poll, which suggests that now as high as 50% of the black community overtly say it is not all right to be white, and put out these videos that we've all seen where you've got fucking horrible, bitter Marxists saying things like, oh, what does whiteness mean to you? Laziness, ignorance, theft, rape, stupidity, pillaging, slagging off hundreds of millions of people based off the colour of the skin. They do that all the time. And Scott Adams pointed out that we're going backwards because all it's going to do is lead to a race to the bottom where all of the white people are going to start going, well, you know what? If you guys hate us so much, let's just bifurcate our society again and let's go back to pre-Martin Luther King, right? And you guys can go and all have your little black ethno-state and we'll make a little white ethno-state. And Scott Adams, because he's a liberal-minded person, more liberal than me, I do recall listening to him once saying that he actually supported a form of reparations, which I don't. Scott Scott Adams is a fucking wet, socially minded liberal. And he said, if that's the case, why don't we all just break up? Why don't we break up the United States, forget this project, and we'll just go back to segregating? So that's why he said, in that context, if you read that poll, you should get the hell away from black people. That's what he said in its entirety. And I defy anybody in the chat, the nearly 400 people listening, to go and watch it and tell me he is an overt racist. And yet, all of the mainstream media, from the BBC down, Washington Post, LA Times, New York Times, everybody, all the TV networks, all the radio networks, all the fucking airwaves, all the printed media is saying this vitriolic, detestable, despicable racist must be cancelled. And this morning they've started saying he's an anti-Semite when he's never said anything about it. He's never, ever said it. They're calling him a Holocaust denier, and at no point in his career or life has he ever denied the Holocaust. So it's just all lies. And I'm going over to Rumble in a bit so I can talk more about other things, because in this crazy, crazy world that we're living in, all these big companies and individuals lying about Scott Adams, blatantly lying and totally misrepresenting his position. They're all right to talk and carry on talking. But when I say things that are true, like what I've just said, apparently that's misinformation. They never call it lies, do they? Because they know it's not lies. They try and come up with subtle, manipulative words, synonyms for the bullshit, right? When I tell the truth, raw, unfiltered, pure truth, and I don't tell lies, ever, nothing I've said just there was dishonest, they cancel you and they say, you can't say that. Ooh, misinformation. Fucking point at some, Susie, you honking spunk bowser. Point at some. You got a face like a plasterer's radio, you fucking hooer. There's something else I've said that's not true. That's not a lie, right? So that's just a fact. That's what happened. He didn't do anything wrong. And the proof is in the pudding by the amount of support he's got from black, Asian, gay, lesbian, fucking anything else. Pull it out your ass that's on the victim pyramid. Black, Asian, Asian, rolling, Muslim, fucking anything. Any of those people, because we're just talking about immutable characteristics, that happen to be conservative, they support him. And they said, you were right. That was accurate. We're going backwards. I was talking to a girl on Twitter this morning, quite a big YouTuber. We had an interaction because she said, this is terrible. We're going backwards here. Like, he didn't say anything wrong. And he didn't. He didn't. And the proof is in the pudding, because lots of black and Asian people support him. I'm sure any black conservative Republican or Candace Owens or Kanye or anybody like that is listening to what he said and defending his point. He's not a bad person. He's not mean-spirited. He's not saying anything negative about all of the black community. He's making a point that we're getting dragged backwards and we're going to end up fucking, well, if we do, it doesn't go to its logical conclusion and we end up murdering each other, it's still going to get really, really, really bad, isn't it? Because they're engendering bitterness. I've seen more anti-white videos on Twitter in the last 2 years than I've probably seen in the 10 leading up to it. Constant videos of like black people beating up white people or Asians. Really well produced ones, like that one I seen yesterday. Did anyone see the Hodge twins one from yesterday? In fact, I'm going to go and find it. Let's go over to Rumble and I'll find it and I'll put it on, because if I put it on here, I'll get fucking cancelled. So let me just fire up StreamYard and I'll make sure Rumble's working, and then I'm going to piss off over there. Hopefully this will go much quicker and smoother than yesterday, where I was super confused. Right? Enter studio, bish bash bosh, go live. Bam. Done. I'll just check on Rumble. My content. Ready to. Live stream begins 28 AST. There we go. I'm on. And I'm listening to Life on the Ocean Wave. Right, nice one. There's the link. Rumble, we're going there. We will talk further over there. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I'm going to keep doing this because fuck YouTube. I'm seriously sick and tired of them. All right, cheers. See you all in a bit. Take it easy.